Very good morning, students. Welcome back to online session on programming for problem solving course. In our previous session, we started the concept of arrays. In your second unit, uh, this arrays concept is there and we started this one. So we defined the term arrays and we said arrays are nothing but basically it is a collection. Array is a collection where we are going to put multiple data elements. Okay, like your variable, it will have only one data element to store. Inside a variable, it is only a one memory location, so you can store only one data element. But whereas an array, it is a collection of data elements. It is a collection of memory locations, so you can store multiple data elements into that one. Okay, more than one data element. When I'm saying multiple, it doesn't mean that multiple data types. It means that multiple values, more than one values. Okay, it means more than one values we can store into the array. So that is the reason why we said array is a collection. And we also, elaborated this definition more specifically. We said array is a collection of homogeneous data elements. So homogeneous in the sense belongs to the same data type, not of different data types, but belongs to the same data type. So this definition we have given for this array. So basically why we are using arrays in the sense in our programming, see, if you have only one variable to use in your program, so we can declare, define and initialize only one variable and we can use that variable. But if the variable count increases, the names what you are giving to the those variables will also increase. The names will increase and the difficulty of remembering those names is on the programmer itself. Okay, there will be a difficulty of remembering those names and to use those names in our program. So because of this thing, what we have done, what the developers have done, they have introduced a concept called arrays, where under a single name you can have more than one variable. Under a single name you can have more than one variable. So declaring some 10 variables, it is to some extent it is flexible and to some extent it is feasible. But when it is going more than 10, or like when I'm saying like 50 or 100 variables to declare and to use, definitely the difficulty will increase, the complexity will increase, and the complete burden will be on the programmer itself. So whenever we are going for a programming language, there need not to be, there should not be any difficulty, there should not be any burden to use such a programming language, isn't it? So because of that reason, we have introduced the concept of arrays and we have used that arrays in our programming. Okay, so yeah, simply how we are declaring the array in the sense, we are taking the name to the array, okay, followed by the size. That size indicates how many variables you want into that array, and along with that you also have to specify the data type, isn't it? Data type, what type of data you are going to store into that array, that also you have to specify. Let us say if I'm declaring a variable, a simple, I'm showing the difference between a regular variable and an array over here. So if I want to use a single variable into my program, how I can do that one? Simply, first you have to specify the data type, that is int. Then you have to take the variable name, that is a I am taking, and followed by the value which you can store. That you can do over here at the time of definition itself, but later on also you can also do. Okay, so if I am initializing the value here itself, how I can do? Integer a equals to 20, like this you can do. Integer a equals to 20. So over here what will happen? A memory bucket will be created for this particular variable a, and you can store this 20 into that variable. So like this, a memory bucket, and you are storing this 20 over here into this bucket. Okay, so like this. So if you want to use like 100 variables, then how many names you have to remember? Like this, a, b, c, and so on, like that, up to 100 names you have to remember. It is a difficult job. It is a difficult job, isn't it? So for this reason we are going for arrays. So in array what I am doing, simply if I want two elements, if I want two elements of type integer under a common name a, how I am declaring? Simply integer a of 2. like this we are declaring. We have to use square brackets, okay, and followed by the size you have to specify. Now this a of 2, how many variables it is having? It is having 2 variables. And how can I access those 2 variables? In the sense, first variable I can access, because we also discussed array index will start at 0 and ends at maximum size minus 1. It is the most important statement that you have to remember. Array index will always start from 0 and ends at maximum size minus 1. So over here my size, maximum size is 0. So where should my array index start? Means it should start at 0. So a of 0 will become my first variable, and here we have another variable. That how can I access? Means a of 1. Like this I can access a of 1, a of 1, a of 0. Two variables. A of 2, 2 indicates the size or the number of elements that this array can hold. And those two variables, how you can access? Means a of 0, a of 1. Array index will start at 0 and ends at 1. Like if you want to take 3 variables, then integer, okay, a of 3. Like this you have to take integer a of 3. So how you can access the first element? A of 0, second element a of 1, third element a of 2. Likewise you can access. If you want 100 uh, elements into your array, simply put like this, a of 100. Okay, now the first element a of 1, like a of 2, second element likewise up to 100, a of 100. So what difference you are seeing between this first approach and this latter approach? The first approach and the latter approach, what difference you are seeing? Here if you want to use 100 variables into your program, like in this approach, in a normal variable approach, you have to remember 100 names over here. Up to 26 you will give a to z, but after z what you will give? Like a, b, a, c, a, d, likewise you have to give. And you have to remember all those names as well, isn't it? It is a difficult job. But whereas if we come for this arrays, here 2 elements, here 3 elements, and here 100 elements, all these elements we are accessing with the help of a simple common name, that is a only, followed by the index value. Okay, a followed by the index value. So in this way we are accessing all our elements. And then after this we have seen the initialization, how we can initialize. Like a regular variable, how we are initializing? Int a using the assignment operator 20. But when it comes to array, we have different approaches. Okay, initializing a variable, initializing an array, we have the basic initialization, initialization without size, partial initialization, and initializing all elements to 0. Like that we have discussed, isn't it? So yeah, this using arrays we said they are of two types, one dimensional arrays and two dimensional arrays. Then we started the concept of one dimensional array. Here we are going to have the arrays in only one dimension, like linear. Okay, and we also said all array elements will be contiguous. This also you have to remember. Okay, then this is how we are, when you are declaring 10 variables inside this scores array, when you are declaring 10 variables, all those variables, how it will declare? This is your first element, isn't it? All those variable, how it will be declared, how the program will declare, in the sense like this, all elements will be contiguous, one after the other. As you can see, all these elements are one after the others, they are contiguous. Okay, the first element, how we can access? Scores of 0, scores of 1, scores of 2. Array index, it is starting at 0 and ending at 9. This thing you have to remember, because the complete total size we have taken as 10. So the index will start at 0 and ends at maximum size minus 1, that is 10 minus 1, 9. So here the first element can be accessed like scores of 0, scores of 1, and so on up to scores of 9. Like this you can access all the elements from this array. Okay, in this way you can access all the elements from your array. So hopefully you remember this one. So then accessing with the help of loops we can do. This also we discussed. Then storing values. Yeah. Declaration and definition only reserves the space for the elements. Okay, declaration, definition for variable also the same thing. When you are declaring, giving the name, when you are defining, specifying the type, will only allocates the memory. The values it will not store. The initialization of values we have to do separately, isn't it? Using the assignment operator. Yeah, initialization you can do in two ways. Either you can read from the keyboard or inside the program only you can initialize. So the first type of initialization, okay, array elements, and we said arrays, they are fixed length arrays. I mean, let us suppose if you are giving the size like 5 when you are doing the declaration and definition, and throughout the program the array size will be 5 only. You can store only 5 elements into that array. Increasing the size, decreasing the size, it is not possible. They are not variable length arrays, they are fixed length arrays. The concept of variable length arrays, we said we will discuss when we start the memory allocation concept, dynamic memory allocation concept. Okay, over there we will discuss about variable length arrays. So quickly we discussed the initialization, the basic initialization, partial initialization, initialization without size, and initializing all elements to 0. How we have done? Simply in our example, so this is the simple variable initialization: declaring the variable, defining the declaring means giving name, defining the variable, specifying the type, initializing the variable, assigning the value. Okay, the same way when you do the declaration, definition, and initialization of an array, first declare, I mean, array declaration and definition, it has to be done with size. Okay, so over here how many elements? 5 elements I am taking into this array A. So now how I can give the values to this A? Use the curly brackets, we said, and you have to separate all the values with commas, like 23 comma 15 comma 18 comma 19 comma 32. Like this you can store all the values, or you can even do the partial initialization like this: integer a of 5. This is partial initialization, like I'm initializing only two values over here. Let us assume how many? Only two values I am initializing: 23, 15, 18, or three values I am initializing. I'm not initializing more than three, so I'm initializing only three values. So a of 5, 23, 15, and 18. Then initializing all elements to 0 like this: int a of 5 equals to 0, like this you can. And the last one, initializing without size. How we can do? Just don't give the size when you are doing the definition, like this, and initialize some four values: 23, 15, 18, okay, and 19. So over here what will happen? A of 0, this will become your a of 0, this will become your a of 1, 18 will become a of 2, 19 will become a of 3, and finally 32 will become a of 4. Okay, like this all elements will be filled inside your array. Okay, then over here what will happen? This is 23, this is a of 1, this is a of, sorry, a of 0, this is a of 1, 15 is a of 1, and 18 is a of 2. And what happens with a of 3 and a of 4? Because we will be having two more elements, isn't it? What happens with a of 3 and a of 4? Yesterday we have seen that these two will become zeros. I have shown you practically in my last video. Then over here what will happen? All your elements like a of 1, 2, okay, a of 2, a of 3, all these things up to a of 4, all will become zeros only, isn't it? All will become zeros only. Over here what will happen? We have not given the size, but we have initialized four values to this array. So automatically what will happen? This array will take the size of four elements. This array will take the size of four elements because we have initialized only four values to it, and I have not given any specific size over here. Any specific size I have not mentioned. So what will happen? By default this array will take four elements, and doing the initialization, I mean doing the definition without initialization, if you are doing only the definition, you must have to specify the size because it has to allocate the memory, isn't it? You must have to specify the size. Without size specification, the definition is not allowed. The definition is not allowed without specifying the size. But when you are doing the initialization, at that time you can omit the size. At that time you can skip the size. When you are skipping the size, the initialization is must and should. Remember this one. When you are skipping the size, the initialization is must and should. And when you are skipping the size and if you are not doing the initialization, your compiler will raise error over here. You will get an error message over here that you have not done the size indication. You have not specified the size, like that type of array, like that type of error you will get. So over here what will happen? This will become 23 will become a of 0, a of 1, 15, A of 2 18, A of 3 is 19. Okay, and these many elements only you will have inside your array, because you have not specified the size, and by default it will take the size as 4 elements only. Okay, so as we are accessing the elements with the help of index, and that index, it is sequential in nature. As I mean, so far we have done how to declare, how to define, how to initialize an array, all those things, and what is the array definition, how the elements will be inside an array, all those things we discussed, and what advantage we are getting by using these arrays, that also we discussed. Okay, so, and we have seen the nature of array index. It is sequential in nature. It is always starting at 0 and ending at maximum size minus 1, and in between all values, I mean 0 1 2 3, likewise all values are sequential in nature. So in order to access the array elements, we can, I mean, when the elements, I mean, when the indexes are sequential in nature, we can utilize a loop, or we can take the help of a loop, or we can take the help of a counter controlled loop, just to have the what we call iterations over there, just to access all the elements from your array over there, just by making use of the array. So that concept to explain, I will take the help of my what we call Dave CPP. So that concept to explain, I will take the help of my Dave CPP. Here, inputting values. Okay, this concept in today's class we have to discuss, as well as the assigning values and outputting values. These the printing values. These three things we have to discuss. Okay, so these three things I will explain. I mean, using the Dave CPP. I think I have not opened that one, so let me just open the Dave CPP. Yes, I'm opening the application. Yeah, it got opened. So I will take one sample source file. Okay, let me just write the coding for this one. Okay, then this is my structure of C program. So over here, what I am doing, so if you are declaring a simple variable, you can store only one value into it. There is no flexibility that we can store more than one value over here. We can store only one value, and how we are printing that value? Printf percentile d, because only one value, so only one printf is enough for printing the value. Okay, comma a of a, that's it. Okay, like this. Simple variable declaration, definition, and initialization, and printing the value. Save this. Save this program. Today's it is 31st, so I will give the program name like today 31st dot c. Okay, any random name, class name I have taken, today 31st dot c. Okay, now how we can compile the program? Just go to this execute, compile. Compilation is over, then go to execute, run. You can see the output. The 20 we are getting on the output screen, because we have only one value. Okay, one printf is enough. Let us assume that I have taken an array. Okay, I have taken an array of two elements. So now how many values I can initialize into this array? Because it is having two variables, so I can initialize two values over here, 20 comma 30. Like this, I mean, those values you cannot initialize just like this, isn't it? Simple initialization operator, assignment operator is not enough. You have to take the curly brackets as well. Okay, you have to specify the values, or you have to assign the values to this array, like what we said, like a set of values. Okay, set kind of thing we use in mathematics, which represents more than one value as a single unit. Over here also, more than one value we are specifying as a single set. Okay, so now, yeah, how many values I have into that a array? We have two values, because the array size is 2. We have two values over there, and 20 30 are there, those values. And what is a of what is 20? How can I access the 20? It is a of 0, isn't it? The first index, a of 0. Like this, I have to access the first element. Now how I can access the second element? Printf, okay, a percentile d, then a of 1, a of 1. Like this I can access the second element. Save it. Now same thing, compile and just see two values. I mean 20 and 30 you will get like a single value over there. 2030 like this it will print 2030. So to have a space in between, just take the space over here like this. Okay, just take a space over there. Now just compile and run. See 2030 we got. Okay, 2030 we have initialized, 2030 we got. So like this. Take another value. Okay, let us say I'm taking the array size like 3. Okay, so third value will be, I mean, array of, okay, third value will be, let us say I'm taking some 15. Like this I have taken. So now how I can access the third value? Simply take printf, okay, percentile d, comma a of 2, because third index it is a of 2 only. Okay, third index, second index it is third value. Compilation successful. Now you can see we got 20 30 15 because we have initialized 20 30 15. So this will become a of 0, this will become a of 1, this will become a of 2. Likewise, hopefully you understood. So the next thing is, say if I have 10 values, then how many values I have to pass here? 10 values I have to initialize. Again, even though we are using arrays, the complexity is increasing over here. 10 values I have to initialize, like 25, then 27, then 32, then 1. Okay, like this I have to initialize 1, then 4. How many? 3, 3, 6, 7, 8, then 6. Okay, lastly 31. Like this I have initialized 10 values. Now this is to initialize. Let us say, for suppose if we are printing those 10 values now. Printing, again I have to write percentile d. How many statements I have to write now? 10 statements I have to, 10 printf statements I have to write. Again it is redundant job. Same job we are doing repeatedly. If we are doing same job repeatedly, how we can avoid that one? By simply making use of loops. By simply making use of loops, what we can do? We can avoid the repetition job. Or let us say if I am not doing the initialization from the program. If I'm not doing the initialization from the program, rather what I'm doing the initialization using scanf. I'm reading from the keyboard. Scanf statement we discussed. Okay, earlier we discussed scanf. Why we use? To read the values. Let us say and percent of a of 0. First value I'm reading. Okay, then second value to read, again scanf percentile d. Likewise the same work I'm repeating again and again over here. Percentile d and percent a of 1 and percent a of 1. Like this, second value I'm reading, third value you read, fourth value you read. Like this you have to repeat the same work. I'm simply copying and pasting over here. Again and again you have to repeat the same work just by changing the index. When you're changing these indexes, so over here till 9 I have to write 9 scanf statements I have to write, and 0 to 9, that is 10 scanf statements I have to write, and 0 to 9 10 printf statements I have to write. This is to read the values from the keyboard and this is to print the values on the output screen. Okay, so when you are reading the values and when you are printing the values, simply what is changing in all your equations, I mean in all your scanf and printf statements, just the index is changing. You can see 0, 1, 2, 3, it is increasing. Like how an I value will increase or how a counter value will increase within a loop, in that same manner your index value is increasing, isn't it? So what I will do over here is, okay, simply I will take a loop for all I equals to 0, because index will start from 0, so I'm taking 0. I must be less than 10 because index will start at 9. So when my I value goes to 10, my condition will fail and the control will exit. Then I plus plus, okay, updation. So like this. So instead of writing multiple scanfs, now what I can do? I can write only one single scanf statement. Percentile d, comma, and percent a of I have to put now. A of I have to put now. See over here, in the first iteration, how this I value will change. In the first iteration, I value will be 1. sorry, 0, isn't it? In the first iteration I value will be 0, so that a 0 will come over here, so we will read a of 0. This is something like scanf percentile d and percent a of 0 only. In the second iteration I value gets incremented, I value will become 1, so you will get over here a of 1, that is something like scanf percentile d and percent a of 1. In the third iteration it will become 2, fourth iteration it will become 3, likewise up to 10th iteration it will become 9, and when the I value goes to 10, in the 11th iteration when the I value goes to 10, what will happen? This condition will fail. And why I am saying when the I value is 10, why I am saying this is 11th iteration? Because the iterations they are starting from 0. So 9 plus 1 it will be 10. So 10 plus 1 it will be 11th iteration. So in 11th iteration the condition will fail and the control will exit. And moreover, when you have only one single statement to put inside a control structure, we said no need of compound statement. So I'm simply removing this compound statement, just to remember this. Okay, so now no need of this multiple scanf statement, just simple scanf statement is more than enough. Okay, simple scanf statement, one scanf statement inside a loop is more than enough. The same rule you can apply for printf as well, printing, outputting the values on output screen, printing values on the output screen. So how we can? Simply again you take I equals to 0, because we have to start from 0, I is less than 10, then I plus plus, like this you can take. See, this only if you belongs to C, if you belongs to CSC means definitely you have to understand this coding. There is no other way. If you're not understanding, do it again and again. Okay, do it again and again, because definitely you will feel difficulty over here. Definitely. Okay, it is something, it is not like that you will have some kind of special skills to understand in one shot. If you are getting difficulty in understanding, means it is quite common. The only way to understand this logic, this programming skills, is you have to do the same job again and again. You don't have to use loop in real time. Okay, you should not use a loop or shortcut and assume that you understood everything. It is not like that. There is whatever I am explaining over here, definitely the students will get it in a different way. And to to know what exactly I'm trying to explain over here, you need to do the practice only. That is the only way. Okay, so printf, so instead of writing 10 different statements, percentile d comma a of I again. So like this you can replace this 10 printf statements with only one printf statement, just by taking the help of a loop. So instead of writing 10 input statements and 10 output statements, what I have done, I have written only one input and one output, just with the help of a loop. Okay, now see, execute the program and see one issue you will get, only one error, that I is undeclared. See here, I is undeclared. I undeclared. So how we can get that one? Simply put over here, declare that I. That's it. Now I is declared and defined, so you won't get any error now. Okay. So now run it. Your control will simply wait. It is asking you to input 10 values, because we have over here scanf statement within for loop. So what it will do, it will, how many times this loop will iterate? 10 times. So 10 scanf statements it tries to execute, and for one input value for every scanf statement. Inside every scanf we have only one percentile d. See, inside your scanf statement, percentile d means input one value, and inside your printf statement, percentile d means output one integer value. Input one integer value, output one integer value. Okay, percentile d, we said it is a conversion code, and this control string we said, isn't it? This entire thing between the double quotations, we said it is a control string, and this percentile d is conversion code. Whenever there is a conversion code inside the control string, it will expect one input. Okay, if you have two percentile d's, it will expect two inputs. So as we have only one, so it is expecting only one input. If you have one percentile d, one conversion code inside printf, it will give one output on the output screen. Okay, so like this you remember. So now save the program, go to compile. Yeah, again it will wait for the input. How many times you have to give the input values? Like this, 23, First value I have given 45, second value 1, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and the last value I'm inputting 12. So 10 values, it is over, isn't it? When I hit the enter key, it will print the rest of the values. It will print the same value because the scanf here it has it read 10 values. It read 10 values. Now the control will come out and it will go into this second loop and it will iterate 10 times and it will print 10 values on the output screen. Just see that one. When I am hitting the enter key after inputting 10 values, when I am hitting the enter key, it is printing all the values same. This is your A of 0, 23. A of 0, it is printing that one. 45, A of 1, A of 2, A of 3, likewise up to A of 9. Here also same thing it is outputting. A of 0, A of 1, the same values whatever we have given as input, the same value you are getting in the output. Hopefully you understood this one. This is how we can use scanf within for loop to read the values, to input the values inside an array, within an array, and printf within a for loop, inside a for loop, to output the values from an array. Inputting values into the array, outputting values from the array. The same thing we will understand over here. See, inputting values. So an array can be initialized from the keyboard also. The values can be read from the keyboard and initialized to an array. So reading values from the keyboard means scanf with percentile d if they are integers. Okay, the most appropriate loop to use with arrays is the for loop. This we had the discussion in our previous session itself. The most appropriate is the counter controlled loop to use, and your for loop is one such counter controlled loop. That is the reason why we are using for loop to read the values into an array. Okay, so the simplest form over here I have shown, and practically also we discussed how we are reading the values into an array. So then, yeah, here this is scanf within for loop to read the values. Okay, then the next thing is assigning values. Assignment is nothing but assigning values. So over here, to assign the values without scanf, to assign the values manually, how many statements I have to write? I have to write 10 statements, because I have to assign 10 different values. Like A of 0 I have to assign, A of 1 I have to assign, A of 2 I have to assign, A of 3 I have to assign, likewise up to A of 9 I have to assign. Simply use individual assignment operators to assign the values. Like this we said, up to A of 0 to A of 9. Or we said in one shot also you can assign the 10, okay, with size, and here you pass all your values separated with commas and so on. Like this also you can initialize all the values. If you want to do the partial initialization, do it partially, like this. Initialize like only 1, 2, 4. That's it. 3 values only I am initializing. So this will become your A of 0, this will become A of 1, and the last one will become A of 2, and rest of the things like A of 3, A of 4 up to A of 9 all will become zeros. Okay, like that we have done. Assigning the values. Yeah, array elements can be assigned individually by using a set of values with the help of assignment operator. Okay, the scores of 4 is equals to 10. So only the fifth element, that is fourth index value, the fifth element we are initializing to 10. So assigning array to another array is possible. Okay, assigning array to another array, it is also possible. So let us say we have here an array with name A, and we have read all values into the array A. Okay, so what I am doing now, I am taking another array B of 10. P of 10, this is my second array. So after reading all the values into the array A, now what I will do is I will initialize, simply I have to take another for loop. I will initialize all array elements to B as well. What I will do, I will initialize to B as well. So B of I equals to A of I, like this you can do. So inside A we have the elements, and the same elements we are storing into B as well. Here we are reading the elements into A, and here we are copying the elements from A to B. So in the first iteration what will happen? B of 0 is equals to A of 0. So 0th element from A will be copied into B of 0. Then in the second iteration, I value will become 1. So B of 1 is equals to A of 1. A of 1 will be copied into B of 1. Likewise, it will copy all the elements from A array to B array. We are saying copying. We are not saying moving. We are saying copying. Copying means after this operation, the same elements will exist in both A array as well as in B array. So here just print the B array just to see the difference. Okay. So we are reading into A array, copying into B array, and printing B array. So whatever you are reading over here, the same thing you have to get from B array as well. So we will quickly check. Save it, already saved. Let's compile it. Compilation successful. Now run it. So it is asking, it is simply waiting means it is asking, because we have not given anything in the program, so it is not printing any message over here. So what I have to do, I have to input 10 values. 4, 6, 7, 2, how many? 7 already. 8, 9, 10. See, whatever values I have entered into A, the same values I am getting from B as well. So why I am getting? Because I am printing B array over here. And this output, whatever we got in the second line, I mean here, horizontally, all this output we are getting from B array. The vertical input, whatever we are giving, that we are reading using scanf into A. You can clearly see over here. We are reading the input into A array, and we are printing the output from B array. And from A array to B array, how the values get copied means between this we have written one for loop followed by this B of I is equals to A of I. So all A elements from 0 to 9 we are copying into B array. From A of 0, A of 1, A of 2, A of 3, A of 4, A of 5, likewise up to A of 9. We are copying into B of 0, B of 1, B of 2, likewise up to B of 9. So here when you print the B array, you will get that same output. Whatever you have inside A, the same thing we are getting from B array as well. Hopefully you understood this one, because this is also one of the concept to discuss. That is the reason we had the discussion over here. Copying or assigning the elements. Individual assignment you can do. From the keyboard you can read, or from another array also you can initialize to the newly created array. In these three ways you can do. There are other ways also that we will discuss when it comes. Okay. So then printing values also we have seen. Simply take the help of your printf function, and you can write 10 printf statements to print an array of size 10. Or you can take the help of loop, and you can print only with the help of one printf statement. This is how you can do. Here it is shown clearly. Within a for loop, we have taken this printf. So in the first iteration, I value will become 0. So scores of 0 you will get on the output screen. The second iteration, I value will become 1. So scores of 1 you will get on the output screen. Third iteration, it will become 2. Fourth iteration, 3. Fifth, 4. Sixth, 5th. 7th, 6th. Likewise, up to 9, it will print all the values from 0 to 9 on the output screen. We have seen practically also. See, the index range checking. It is one of the crucial point that you have to remember. One of the important, one of the crucial, and it is the responsibility of the programmer itself to maintain the what we call the index range. To maintain the index range, we should not exceed the index range. What I am saying is we should not exceed the index range. And the C language, it does not check the boundary of an array. So boundary means, let us say if you are declaring 10 elements into the array. Okay, 10 elements into the array, and it is the programmer's responsibility that you have to access only the 10 elements. You should not access the 11th, 12th, 13th element. If you are keeping like that into your program, your compiler, sometimes it will generate error and sometimes it will not. It completely depends on the behavior or the architecture of your program, we can say, or the compiler, we can say. Some compilers will accept going beyond the array index and accessing the values. Some compilers will accept. So more or less what you will get from there, you will get garbage value only, unknown value. But some compilers, ultimately they will give issues when you are crossing the limit of an array, when you are crossing the range of an array. Ultimately it will give the issues. So that this concept to explain, I will take the example of help of my whiteboard application. See, what I have done is I am declaring an array of size, let us say 5. How we can? So simply declare array of 5 elements, integer a of 5. Okay, now I am saying 32. Okay, then 43, 78, 91, 102. Okay, like this I have done the declaration, definition, initialization of an array. So when you're saying, when you're assigning 5 values, so what will happen, these 5 elements will take 5 values, isn't it? So how your array will be inside the memory, all memory locations will be contiguous, all memory locations will be contiguous. So like this you will get the first element, the second element, the third element, fourth and fifth element, like this. So here you will get 32, this is a of 0. Here you will get 43, this is a of 1. Here you will get 78, this is a of 2. Here you will get 91, this is a of 3. Here you will get 102, this is a of 4. So like this you got a of 0, a of 1, a of 2, a of 3, a of 4. Like this you got. So now to understand the boundary, so where exactly the boundary, you can access only a of 0 to a of 4. That is the boundary of this array. You can't go below this. Okay, you can't take a of minus 1, a minus 2, minus 3. Likewise, you can't take. Or you neither can cross this a of 4, like a of 5, a of 6, a of 7. So accessing what exists after the array and what exists before the array, it is the sole responsibility of the programmer. Nowhere your C program is or your compiler is responsible for checking the range or maintaining these boundaries. Nowhere. Okay, yeah, like this we have initialized the array. So now if I want to print the array, what I have to do, I have to take a for loop. For all I equals to 0, I must be less than how much, 5 maximum size, then I plus plus. Okay, then I can take a printf statement to print all the values. Printf, okay, take the percentile d, comma, a of I. Like this I can write one simple printf statement to print all the values on the output screen. Hopefully you understood this one. So now let us say here when I'm writing the size limit, here I have taken 5 because I have only 5 elements and the index is starting from 0 and it will end at 4 itself, and going I value, I mean making I value as 5, this condition will fail and the control will exits. And who did this boundary check? The C programming is doing, I mean the compiler is doing, or being a programmer I have written? Being a programmer I only have written, isn't it? So here I can even make the correction like I is less than 7. Doing so, what will happen? The counter will cross the boundary of the array. So here up to a of 4 only I can access. But when you are making like this, when you are saying I value must be less than what, 7, I value must be less than 7, then what will happen? I value 5 it will accept, I value 6 it will accept, I value 7 it will exit. So doing so, what I am doing, when I'm making the size as 7, I mean I less than 7, the condition framing when I am doing like this, yeah, the counter is going to a of 5 and a of 6 as well. Counter is going to a of 5 and a of 6 as well. Let us quickly check how our C++ compiler will behave when you do such a thing in your program. So what I am doing, I will go to my program. So here let us take that same example. Here I am taking 5. Okay, 5 equals to, here only I am initializing like 23, 45, 46, 45, 92 and 102. How many values? 5 values I have initialized, isn't it? A of 5 is equals to 5 values I have initialized. But let us try to print how many? 10 values, and just see what your compiler will do, how your compiler will behave. Now how many values I am trying to access? I am trying to access from 0 to 9. 10 values I am trying to access. Even though I have initialized only 5 values and I have taken the array size as 5. So my boundary is from 0 to 4 only. Okay, index range from 0 to 4 only I can access. But here I am trying to access from 0 to 9. Okay, 5 more values I am trying to access. So let us quickly see how my compiler will behave. Compilation C, ultimately this is giving an error. My Dev C++ compiler is giving an error. If you check the same thing in Turbo C or in ANSI C, there you won't get the error, but you will get the garbage values on the output. Okay, so here what is saying, I value is undeclared, it is saying. So let us quickly declare the I value, then you check. First you declare the I value. The error is something else. Okay, I thought it is giving, I mean, it is accepting, it is not accepting the range to cross the array boundary. The error was something else. Now we compile, we'll see. Now it is saying B of B is undeclared. So here you make it as A. Okay. Now you just see what it will say. Yeah, we are not getting any errors here in dev C++. Also we are not getting any errors. So simply crossing the array boundary, it is the responsibility of the programmer itself. You have to make sure that you should not cross the boundary. Here we tried crossing the boundary, but your compiler is not raising any errors. We try to print the values and see. Over here you can see the first 5 values. This is your A of 0. We have initialized to 23, so we got 23. This is A of 1. We have initialized to 45, so we got 40. 46, so we got 46. A of 2, 45. A of 3, 92. A of 4, 102. Okay, up to this 102, we have the boundary and we have initialized those values, so we are getting those values. But what about this A of 6, sorry, A of 5, A of 6, A of 7, A of 8, A of 9? All these are some meaningless values we are getting, some unknown values we are getting, or some garbage values we are getting, which we have not initialized, isn't it? Which we have not declared, defined, and initialized. So this is something index range checking. This is something index range checking. And in your program, in some complex calculation, if you lose this index, or if you cross this index, if you cross the boundary of an array, your complete program will spoil. You will get some meaningless output, isn't it? So it is the responsibility of the programmer to maintain the end index, because C language, it is not maintaining any error. It is not maintaining any boundary of an array. C language does not check the boundary of an array. It is the complete responsibility of the programmer, or as a programmer, it is our job to ensure all references to index elements are valid and within the range. The range should not be crossed. Okay, if an array is used within an invalid index, the result will be unpredictable. As I told you now, it is completely dependent on the behavior of the compiler. Some compilers, as my compiler, it is accepting. It is not generating an error, it is accepting and printing the garbage values. But some compilers, what they will do, they will not accept and they will simply print an error over there that you have crossed the index range. In Java, you cannot do like that. In Java, crossing the index range, it is the compiler's responsibility. The compiler will generate an error over there if you cross the array index. Okay. So, but in C, we have to make sure that we should not cross. Remember this one. Okay. So, the next thing what we have in our PPT in the sense, yeah, a program. What we are doing in this program means we are simply calculating the sum of all elements present inside my array. Okay, present inside my array, I will take this same program. So here I have read like 5 elements. I have initialized like 5 elements into the array, and I just want the sum of all those 5 elements. Okay, how we can do? Simply take the help of a loop. Okay, and here it should be within the range. So what I will do here, I will make it as like 5 and declare another variable that we need uh, comma sum, which should be equals to 0. Initially make it 0. Then here we don't need, because we are going to write only one statement. So sum equals to sum plus a of I. Sum equals to sum plus a of I. Only this statement we have to write within the loop. And as we are going to print a single value, so sum of all elements equals to percentile d, and here you print sum only. So what it will do, whatever elements you have within that array, all that elements will be summed and stored inside this sum variable, and that variable we are printing over here using printf. Now you compile, compilation is successful, and execute and check. The sum value 308 we are getting. So take some simple values so as you can do the calculation manually as well. So 1 I am taking here, 3 I am taking, this is 2 I am taking, not 42, this is 2 I am taking, and this is let us say 5 I am taking. So this is 5 plus 5, 10 plus 1, 11. This is 11, and here you make it as 100. So what value you are expecting in the output? If you sum all these, you need to get 111. Okay, 111, because this is 11 and this is 100, so 111 you have to get. So quickly compile, compilation is successful, and execute. You got 111, as you can see over here. So this is how you can calculate the sum of all elements present inside an array. So the same thing we need to program to calculate sum of all the elements, all the array elements. The same thing we have done. A of 5, we have taken an array of size 5 and we have initialized 5 elements to this array, and then using this simple for loop, I'm calculating the sum of all those elements, and I'm storing the result into some variable, and that sum result I'm printing over here using this simple printf statement. Okay, so in this way we are calculating the sum of all the elements present inside the array. So now comes the concept of two-dimensional array. So previously only like a row we have taken all the elements, but now the elements will be organized. Okay, the elements in a two-dimensional array will be organized like a matrix. Okay, rows as well as columns. Rows as well as columns. In one-dimensional array, the elements, the data are organized linearly in only one direction, like a row. Okay, many applications requires data to be stored in more than one dimensions. In a one-dimensional array, we are storing in only one dimension, but generally, in order to do the matrix programs and all, or in some more complex programs when you are writing in C programming, there we need to use two-dimensional arrays. Okay, one dimension it is not possible. There we have to go for multi-dimensions or two dimensions. Okay, matrices is one such example which requires an array that consists of rows as well as columns, as shown in the following figure. We will discuss, I mean, we will see a figure in our next slide. There you will understand the concept of two-dimensional arrays. Okay, so here this is, so like how many rows here? 4 rows. And how many columns? 4 columns. So rows, columns, 4 rows, 4 columns you can take into your two-dimensional array. In C language, two-dimensional arrays will be considered as an array of arrays. It is an array of arrays. This is an important statement. So if you see this one, this two-dimensional array, so this particular thing, this first row, it is one single dimensional array, one dimensional array. If you see the second row, it is another single dimensional array, one dimensional array. This is another one dimensional array. This is another one dimensional array. So over here what we have done, we have stacked 4 one dimensional arrays into another array, as another array, because it is also a correct collection. A two-dimensional array, we can say a two-dimensional array is a collection of one-dimensional arrays. As you can see over here, I have shown that one. A two-dimensional array is a collection of one-dimensional arrays. Okay, so like that you can remember. So declaring, I mean, when we are doing the declaration for one-dimensional array, we are specifying only one index value, but when you are doing the two-dimensional array declaration, you have to specify the two dimensions. First dimension it will give the number of rows, and second dimension it will give the number of columns. Hopefully you understood. So here two-dimensional array declaration, how we are doing, we are just taking the help of two dimensions, two indexes. The first index will give the number of rows, okay, and the second dimension it will give the number of columns. Okay, yeah, like every other object in C programming, like your one-dimensional arrays, the two-dimensional arrays must be declared. Declared in the sense giving the name, defined, specifying the type, and size also it has to be specified, like number of rows, number of columns has to be specified. Okay, okay. So lastly, the size of two-dimensional array must have a value at compile time. Okay, consist of like yeah, like how you are doing the initialization of a one-dimensional array without the size, that kind of thing is not possible in case of a two-dimensional array. Only one dimension that you can skip, but the other dimension you must have to specify. The column dimension you can skip, but the row dimension you must have to specify when you are doing the declaration. Okay, so in detail we will discuss about these two-dimensional arrays in our next session. There is nothing like after declaration definition, we have to see the initialization and an example program. That's it. Inputting values, outputting values, accessing values, and example program. That's it. Only 2 or 3 slides are there because already it is more than 1 hour, I guess. So that is the reason why I am concluding my session here itself. Okay. So rest of the things we will see in our tomorrow's class. Okay, in detail I will show you how to do the declaration of a two-dimensional array, how to assign the values to a two-dimensional array, how to input the values using scanf statement into a two-dimensional array, how to output the values from a two-dimensional array using printf statement, printf function, and finally how to assign the values from one two-dimensional array to another two-dimensional array. And after that we will discuss one simple program, and this program matrix addition you can expect in your internals. Okay, matrix addition, it is an important program, and generally they will not ask matrix addition in the external, but they will ask matrix multiplication. See how complex it is. Multiplication, doing multiplication on a paper in mathematical approach only, it is a complicated job, it is a tough job. But writing a C program to calculate the matrix addition, matrix multiplication, matrix subtraction, it is a very difficult job. Very soon, hardly in 1 or 2 classes, you will be able to do all that things. Okay. After that, the strings concept, that is very easy concept. Just the theory stuff we have over there. And string manipulation. Inside this strings, there is another LAQ, long answer question, that is string manipulation functions. It is an important question. It is an LAQ, 7 marks they will ask in your exam. And moreover, this one dimensional, two dimensional arrays, from this also they will ask one theory concept as well as one program. Sometimes they ask theory concept, sometimes they ask practical stuff, that is program. So preparation is very important over here. You have to know what is matrix addition, you have to know what is matrix multiplication, what is matrix subtraction. All these things we will see in our next session. I mean, without wasting much time, what I will do when I start my next session, I will quickly come to these two-dimensional arrays, explain the concept of two-dimensional arrays. Then we will do the matrix addition, matrix multiplication, and in another one session, we'll go to this strings concept. Strings concept, it will take like 2 sessions. Okay, with that we conclude our second unit, and will be ready for your internals. See students, as you people are coming offline now, so I suggest you to be more active, and whenever you get free time, just don't sit. Whatever doubt you have, just don't sit, you just get clarified. Even if you don't know how to write a simple C program, I don't mind. I don't mind. Okay, just come approach me and ask me everything from the beginning. I'm ready to explain. Okay, so just utilize the time, short span of time, whatever we are getting in between, before your internal exams and after this online classes, whatever time we are getting, just try to utilize the time. And yes, hope you will get score good in your first internals. Okay, waiting for that one. All the best students.